Hello everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Renewables in Action. Right, so we're gonna have some great time together, right? Fascinating episode. That's what we're doing, right? So looking at transformative journeys into renewables energy, sustainable innovation, and also people and company that really make and shape this country. Yeah. So that's it. One second. Yep. And what we have for you today, yeah, so as I was saying, it's somebody exceptional, right? So we honored to have Afonso Faria, who is the visionary CEO of AFF Wind Service. And what he's going to do with us today is share the story behind the company, but even before the story behind the company, understand him a little bit better, right? So, what was his journey like? So, what led him to create this fantastic company in order to become a beacon of excellence in the wind energy service? So, Afonso Path, it's marked by relentless pursuit of excellence, and today is still this excellence that's really guiding him and his team. The passion they have for renewable energy, sustainable energy, so led him to create AFF Wind Services. It's a company that is renowned for how they treat every project like their own, literally. Yeah. So we're gonna look at the origins, the challenges, and also the triumph of AFF Wind Service, and we're gonna be exploring how Afonso has committed to provide services and committed as well to improve you know, everything that could actually make and shape this industry. So buckle up, guys, because we're gonna have um, an interesting time. So in covering strategies, inspiration, but also future plans for one of the industry leading lights. So it's with a great pleasure that I wanna welcome into the stage my very good friend, Mr. Afonso Faria. Afonso, how are you doing today?
Hi, Tony. I'm good. Doing okay. Thank you very much. How are you?
I'm very good. I'm very good. And like I usually say, so you somewhere in the world. So where are you this day today?
I am
Yeah.
somewhere in the world. I am a little bit of a nomad. Currently, I'm in Rahe. It's in the north of Finland, almost in Oulu. So it's a nice weather now. But in the winter, we have a very bad winter here sometimes. Yeah. So
Okay.
that's where I am now. Yeah.
Excellent. Excellent. As I say, we're gonna have a very interesting conversation, and I know a lot of people were looking forward to it, and I can really understand because they're gonna learn a lot of things, right? And I think you have some great story you want to tell us. But before we dive into the conversation a little bit more deeper, I think it's good to take a little bit of a step back because, as I say, obviously we're gonna talk about AFF for sure, AFF Wind. You're gonna tell us everything about that. But before we even dive into that, which is quite interesting. Last time we met, that was after just a webinar. There was a gentleman that reached out to me, and I think he's called Toby, and it happened that he worked with you a long time ago. And then he seemed to be very inspired by your journey because yeah, I remember I worked with Afonso. The beer wasn't that big at the time, and I'm actually impressed by what he's been doing so far. And obviously, he said that it's something he's looking up to do. But it looks like he's going through the same kind of journey, but he's a little bit behind. So hopefully, if you listen to this episode, that's this conversation we have today, so he's gonna learn a bit more. So I don't know if you could maybe uh, introduce yourself first before we go any
Mhm.
further.
Yeah. So Afonso Faria, of course, Portuguese. I am 45 years old now, so I come from the era of the pre-era of all the smartphones and all the digital era, and that has also been my path over the last 10, 15 years, and that is to learn how to work with the new tools that we have. But a little bit more about me. So I am a single father of almost 14-year-old daughter. Of course, with this life, it's with this life, it's a mixture of feelings, and it's a balance between working, being away, and actually taking care of the family values. But I hope time will tell. But I hope I'm bringing in good values to my daughter, of course. I have been traveling for big part of my life, very big part of my life. I've not grown up in Portugal, so I've started very early already to be introduced to the idea of not really being where you come from. What I mean is sometimes we need to go a little bit further, a little bit outside of our comfort zone, a little bit outside what makes us feel good, what makes us feel like home, and we need to build home somewhere else. Um, so I've been introduced to that at a very young age, and maybe that is also what brings me to be the man that I am and also the person that I am. Um, Personally, I am not a big. I'm not the person that demands too much. Sometimes I actually think I don't demand enough, at least for myself. But I'm always ready to help someone else. I'm always ready to support, and that is also what I try to bring. And maybe the value that I bring in my company is that I'm always there for everyone. It doesn't mean that everyone is always there for me. I don't expect the same back, but I'm always I'm always there to support. I'm always there to help. Private, company related, any business. I'm always available. So that's a little bit about me. And of course, traveling, biker. I drive a motorcycle. Hence the beard, maybe. You never know. But yeah, that's me. The bike gives me the free spirit that is a little bit in me. The free spirit in the way that we need to be able to yeah, we need to be able to go somewhere else, and we need to be able to just keep moving. We shouldn't stop ourselves, and we shouldn't retain ourselves from moving forward and taking that next step. So that's me.
Excellent, excellent. I think that's a lot already that you shared out there, and I'm sure you will inspire many people. So I wonder whether Alfonso, you can tell us a little bit about your personal journey into the wind
Hmm.
energy, and what really inspired you to establish AFF Wind Service. Because as I said, just like the gentleman I was talking about in my introduction, a lot of people will be thinking about this idea, you know, but it's something about thinking about it and actually doing it. So, what is your personal journey into the wind, and what inspired you to establish AFF?
Yeah, so I got first introduced to wind in 2006, and that was me, young me. I was 20 into 26. I was 26, 27, and looking for a job. I was back in Portugal. I just returned. I grew up in Holland, in the Netherlands, and in 2004 I returned to Portugal. So I was just 1.5 year, 2 years back in Portugal. Some people don't realize that although Portugal is really, really good to live in, we have wonderful weather. It's a beautiful country, but economically, it's not as good as it seems. It's not as good as it shows. So I was looking for a new opportunity, and I saw this advert, mechanical engineer or mechanical background, speak English speaking. Hey, I took it on. Um, the challenges, and when I started as a service technician, you get, at least back then, I really got in touch with the mechanical, the electrical, the hands-on technical, which is what I like. I like to be busy with my hands. I like to build with my hands. So that is what got me going, and then seeing that we were actually, it doesn't. It's not that idea. Oh, I'm going to do something better for the future. I'm going to do the renewables, and I'm going to improve the world. It doesn't work like that. You just grow into it, and you start to see that there is an impact, that there is a difference, and that you are contributing to it. So that kept me going. The traveling, of course, kept me going. That's something that's part of me. I'm like I say to everyone, I'm a nomad. I travel, I make the money, I take in the income, and I make sure that back home everyone is stable. So that is what got into me, and then what kept me going, and what kept me moving into getting into the company or into creating my own company was necessity from one point. There was a need. I've worked with a couple of companies, and things was just changing a little bit. The industry was changing. Um, we were going more into being the independent people, or independent without contracts. That is the world nowadays anyway. There's less contracts, less of this, working for the same person all the time. So it started to grow on me. And then there was a very good friend of mine within the industry that said, well, why don't you go on your own? Why don't you start your own company? And we planted the seed, and I've seen a lot of things, and I've been, I mean, I've been traveling where the money wasn't there. let's be honest here, and that this is reality. I've been traveling where we were just making enough money, but not we didn't have enough money to stay in a hotel, for example, where we had to share rooms, um, and 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 that is just the conditions that were out there, and we put ourselves to that. So I've seen that, I've felt that, and when I started with that seed was planted in my head, I was thinking, okay, if I'm going to do something, then I'm going to make sure that all those things that I criticized, all the things that I didn't like, I'm going to make sure that I make things good on my end. Whatever I can offer, I make things good. So I started to grow towards that, and that is also what the value of myself and the company that I put into the company is, that we need to take care of our people. We need to make sure that they are. Everyone is going to complain. You can never satisfy everyone, but we're going to make sure that people at least they feel supported. I mean, I've been sent 2009. I was sent to Japan. No credit card, no phone number, no point of contact. All we knew was the address of the wind farm where we needed to be on a Monday morning, and we arrived on a Friday afternoon. I mean, that was life some years ago. We can't do that anymore because people are starting. It improved a lot, and people are starting to be a little bit more conscious about it. But hey, I've been there. I've been through that. So when the plant was when the seed was planted, I started to think, why not? Why can I not build something, even if it's small, even if I remain small with a couple of guys? Why not? And then one day I was working and things wasn't really there. I wasn't really feeling like I was doing all my potential. I could do more. I was just working just to make money, just to get that income, just to maintain busy. And I thought, maybe I can reach out and maybe I could take that step. At least people were open to it. So I started taking those steps. I reached out to some friends. I said, listen, I have my own company. I'm out there to work. I can offer my services. And it started to roll first on my own, and then slowly over the last years it started to grow. So yeah, that's a little bit my story behind it. Yeah.
That's very, very interesting. And I could say to you that we share a lot of similarities there. I think a little bit like you. So I'm not one of those, or at least that's what I kind of hear from you. I wasn't one of those people saying that I always knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur. It wasn't that for me. I actually grew into it. So it became as a kind of out of necessity to feel like you don't really tap into your potential. You're thinking, whoa, I think whatever I'm doing is good, but I know I can do better. I'm worth more than that. And you don't see the opportunity.
Exactly, exactly.
You start thinking, okay, and that's why I remember I thought for myself, okay, if nobody want to give me my dream job, let me create my dream job for myself. So obviously, and you went
Exactly.
for that. No, I
But
think
then,
that
but
yeah,
then you realize that there is more headaches that come along with the dream job, and
exactly.
more responsibilities.
Exactly. So that
Yeah.
that oh definitely I think I must admit so it's not given for everybody to do it. Let's be honest. Yeah,
And
but
and the working hours. There is more working
oh
hours.
yeah. So that's yeah.
Oof.
I definitely,
Exactly.
I definitely agree with that. So yeah. So what would you say the original vision of AFF Wind? And would you say that it has changed over time? With the demand in the energy market, with the energy markets?
It has the vision. The original vision itself has not changed.
Hmm.
What has changed is how the original vision was and always has been that and I had this vision, and I'm going to share something now personal with you. I had this vision where I can see myself standing next to someone with the logo on the backs, and we are overseeing this wind farm that is being built,
Okay.
and we have and we have managed, we have supervised, and we have contributed to that. That is still the same vision. The only thing that changes, and that is, I think that's part of being an entrepreneur, and that is that you learn that there is one more step. So the journey is what is your true goal. It's never the end result.
Yeah.
It's always the journey. And you start adapting and you start to see that maybe there is more. So now the only thing that has changed, that has grown deeper into us, and that we are working hard towards, is to get um, to get the presence in more markets. So the vision now is to be um, maybe going back to the old Portugal where we had, we were in all five continents. Maybe to that,
Hmm.
I don't know, but it's the vision now is that we have a presence in more continents, so that we have a presence in Africa, in more of Europe, in Asia, for example. Um, that is the vision now, and of course, the industry is growing so much. The solar, when I first started in this business, 2006, solar was there, but it was not really talked about. And now we even have wind farms that uses battery systems to collect the energy and release it later on. So it has changed over the last years, and that is also what changed our vision. It didn't change the vision, but the vision grew. So we want to go also into solar. I mean, managing, supporting, supervision. It's all the same. If you have the structure, if you have that way of working, that organized structure, then you can manage anywhere, and that is what has grown with us. So from the wind, we are also into other regions, and we are also into solar, into the hybrid wind farms, which will come in Europe within the next years. That is what we are going into. That is our mission to get into over the next couple of years. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's brilliant, and definitely I think you're doing the right thing to obviously tap into solar as well, because I think for me, I mean, it's kind of a little bit fortunate when I actually started my career into renewables energy, because I know a lot of people don't know that, but I actually have as well a mechanical engineering background. I'm actually a mechanical engineer myself, and then I worked into electronics, and when I was working for Ford Motor Company, and then but when I started getting interested into renewables, I actually started with wind. That was offshore wind in the UK. So that was because I worked for a company, and I was developing the renewable energy department for them, and I started from wind. So I have that, let's say, good enough understanding of what wind sector is, because I even wrote a book about wind. I believe I shared that with you, Alfonso. But
Yeah. Yeah.
wind is a lot more complex
Yeah.
than than solar. So I can definitely see why you're saying that. Having done such tremendous work so far, I know you still have a lot to achieve with your company on wind. I think it's just a no-brainer for you to obviously offer this kind of service of insight as well to solar, because it's a lot easier. Yeah, especially if
Yeah.
you're able to handle project in offshore wind. That's
Yeah.
that is a challenge, right? So
Yeah.
so yeah. So
Exactly. Exactly.
I can definitely see the point here. No, thanks for sharing that, and I'm happy that you obviously broadening the perspective here, and I'm sure in the conference, for example, where we both going to be going in Morocco, so there's going to be opportunity to do that. But what would you
Yeah.
say, Afonso, actually set you apart at AFF Wind compared to other companies? Because I'm sure a lot of people will be listening and say, okay, this Afonso guy, it seems good. I like what he's saying. But what actually make him stand out? Because there could be some
Yeah.
equally talented company out there. So, and how do you
Yeah.
ensure your team dedication, to client satisfaction? Because I'm sure there are lots of, of potential OEM listening, so asset manager listening, say, okay, so what actually make you stand out? Why should I work with you, Afonso?
Yeah. And it's easy for me to say because I do this better, I do that better, it's easy for everyone to say that. But it's not easy to walk it. So it's easy for someone to say, yeah, I'll be taking care of that. I'm looking into that. I'm a manager. I can oversee things and all of that. But it's hard to maintain dedication and focus. That is where I believe we are different. And I know we are different. For example, this morning I was talking with one of my managers about one of the projects that we have ongoing in Finland. And see, we use whatever tools our clients has, whatever tools, organization tools, registration tools, we use them. We learn how to use them and we go deeper into it. So we can limit ourselves to use it as it's needed. Reporting tool, for example, daily reporting tool, you can use it just to report, accept, not accept, and that's it. We go further into it. We learn the tool and we see what potential the tool itself says so that we can then bring forward a better overview of projects. So, for example, this morning I was going through one of those tools with one of my managers, and I was teaching him something, showing him some of the the options that that tool has. And then he was saying, yes, but we are doing that, but someone else is maybe not doing it. And my answer was yes, but that is what the project manager wishes, that everyone would do that. And we do that on our own. We analyze we analyze costs, we analyze time expenditure, budget, project plans constantly, and we try to maintain always on top and tell the project manager, alert the project manager, listen, this is where we are gaining time, this is where we can gain time or not. Last week, for example, I was into a project and I saw straight away that there's one of the processes that we could speed up, we could gain time. And I started straight away to talk with people and say, listen, we can gain time here. And surely enough, we gain half a day. Half a day can be 5,000 euros a day that we can gain on that project. So that is where we differ. And then apart from all of that, we have our own organization. We use the client's organization structure, whatever is implemented to us. If it's Office, if it's other tools, digital tools, we'll use that. But apart from that, I make sure, and I'm also investing in that, I make sure that we have our own database and that we have our own processing tools, that we do our own analysis, our own follow-up. I'm actually developing a digital tool that will help us doing that. It will also help us do a day-to-day quicker risk analysis so that any topic that arises is not left for interpretation, but it's left for interpretation together with some expertise, experience already, and data already, so that decisions are taken with a little bit more meat on the bone to decide. So that is where we differ. And then as a company, every week, every day, not every day, we talk with each other every day, but every week there is a weekly project follow-up, half an hour, doesn't take more, objective. We go through the points. Do you need help? What's going on? What can be improved? Every week we have, like I call it, training sessions. So it's an internal procedure where we take an hour a week and all of us get together and we learn from each other. Like I said, clients have different tools. Some work with SAP, some work with Primavera, some work with other tools. We learn how to work with that. And then we help each other to understand. So if one knows a little bit more, he gives the knowledge to the other one. That means that as a team, we are one family. We talk with each other, we help each other. And that is what we bring forward to the client also. The client will feel that we are not just there registering, but it is our project. We are taking care of the project. They don't need to care about it. It's almost like a key in hand solution. You give us the project, we will work all the angles. We will not look into and say, listen, that is someone else's responsibility. It might be, but we'll make sure that that responsibility is being followed. And we'll report that and we'll follow up for that. So that is where we differ. We don't just sit there, we take care of it as it is our own. And we have our own organization to do so.
Yeah. I think in that level of commitment, but also accountability is what is missing in many companies these days. And I think I'm glad to hear that this is really something that you're taking personally. So that is good. That's good. And you said too, you've had such a, let's say, a deep experience into the sector wind, and since 2006, so you've seen the sector maturing, right? So changing.
Yeah.
And I was wondering actually whether you can touch a little bit on some of the biggest challenges that you've seen as a company, and how did you overcome them?
Yeah. So I guess the biggest challenge, and there's two big challenges here. One is a positive. Both of them are positive. One of them is a technical challenge, and the other one is a cultural challenge. The cultural challenge is the one that brings more value, I believe, as a whole into the whole industry. So when we look back, even if we go back like 10 years back, 15 years back, we were not building this big. We were not building this high. It was not that heavy, the components. We were not exporting that much power also. So the competition itself, the industry grew, between providers, between manufacturers, build a bigger one, build one that can produce more power, and then the other one builds bigger. But in the field, that progress is not as quick. And that is one of the challenges that we faced. And that is the challenge of time. How much time does it take now to build one turbine, one full turbine compared to 10 years back? I mean, I'm in Finland now. I was in Finland in 2012, 13 for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
And we are building twice as big now, right? But the time for installation, it's adjusted now, but it needed some time. It needed some. It doesn't go to that quick. It doesn't go exponential. So, and that is a challenge because we need to understand. We need to first of all understand. Okay, the guidelines are this because it's based on maybe something previous, but it's not the reality anymore. And the reality is this. And then we need to be able to manage that with teams. We need to be able to find solutions, and even now there is so much more preparation ahead that we need to do. We don't need to do, but again, for example, now we are building turbines that if we take one day before, if we plan one day before for preparation, that will gain us one day with installation. If we don't do that, we can still prepare it at the day of installation, but we lose that day. And the money that we lose is much more, and we still pay for the cranes for that use. So the challenge there is how proactive are you with planning? How far ahead can you look? Can you look ahead and you can say, listen, the crane is stopped now. Maybe I can take it for 5 hours, prepare it now, and then not lose one day. And that is planning. We need that planning. We need that proactive planning. Of course, it's not only from management. Let's face it. It's the management that is looking at the paper, the plans on paper. But if we don't give it to the supervisors in the field, the people in the field, they will never execute it. So it's never just us. But we need to be able to take that first step. And then the culture has changed, safety culture, and that has been the biggest, most welcomed change. We
Mm-hmm.
have now much more procedures. We have more. It might seem like a lot, but we are going into a structured, organized safety culture now, where we can record. We have better records of what we are doing, where people are working. We can control the environment a little bit better. We are more aware of the safety and the hazards that we are facing every day. It doesn't mean that we didn't work safe 10 years ago. We still work safe. There was no accidents, well, not as many accidents as people would expect. But now we have a much better control of things. We know now that people are okay. We are now looking more into, into the fatigue, into what it does with people being away from home. How many hours are they working? What is the stress level on the work? And how we can control that, how we can monitor that, how we can reduce that. So, and that culture is slowly but surely it has been improving a lot. That is the biggest change. And of course, as a manager, we need to, as I say, sometimes we get directions from clients, from project managers, from directors, and sometimes we look at those challenges and we say, maybe we could do it different, but we need to implement it. We need to be the ambassadors here. And when we see something that needs to improve, when we get directions that needs to improve, we are the ambassadors. And we look at the positive things, the negative things, we bring them both to light and we work with them. That's how we deal with that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a very thorough approach that you're having here, and I think I'm loving it. That's great, Afonso. Thank you for
Mm-hmm.
for sharing that. I think I'm going to come back a little bit on one thing that you mentioned, which is when you were talking about the continuous improvement that you have within AFF, and you were saying that every week you meet, you dedicate about an hour to go through the challenges, but also the lesson that you've learned and share that with people. So, is there any particular maybe strategy? Okay, I know it's internal to your team, but maybe is there one maybe strategy or one process that you could talk about to explain that culture of growth that you are having within your team, that at least people can get a little bit of an understanding? Because I
Yeah.
think it's going to be helpful because I would imagine if I'm O&M, as an owner, I say, hey, I'm interested with this guy. I like what he's saying, but I'll be even more comfortable if you can mention me one thing I can really sense it.
Yeah. So it's an internal procedure and it's internal training sessions. But
Hmm.
what we do is we get if we get new guidelines or if something changes, let's say an example, a very simple example. 2-3 months ago, we got told from the client that we are working for now, we got told specific guidelines, specific documents that needed to be filled in, and it was shared with everyone. So what I do is on those weekly sessions, I took those documents, everyone together, and we've gone through it. Okay, what is needed? Where do we need to take the information from? How do we fill it in, and how do we share it? That's a very simple one. But it goes as far as, for example, if we also with another customer we have, with another client, we have a procedure for registering consumables, tools, parts, items that get into site. And the procedure itself it's not complicated, but there are some steps that need to be taken. And one of my managers, he learned it from someone else. He learned it from someone from the client. He learned it how to do it, how to process it, how to go into the system, find the codes, register it, close it off, so that the project is fully closed off when it comes to that. So what we've done is we've taken one of those hours, actually we've taken 2 hours, and we've said, listen, you know what? Let's go through it. Let's put a step-by-step guide, simple step-by-step guide. You go into this one, this page, you click here, you click there, and this is how the whole system is processed, and we've learned from each other. And in a month time, I will revise that again. I'll go through that again. Last week we were going, for example, through what we do every month. We do an analysis on costs. We go into the tool that the customer has for daily reporting, where we can retrieve all the hours, all the costs, all the totals. And last week, for example, we've gone through that. Okay, how do you take that? How do you take the data? How do you process it? How do you make it presentable? By the way, with AFF, every report that we send out to the customer, it's the same. The structure for the tools that we use, for the files that we store, for the way that we answer the customers, it's the same. That means that I am now in one project, but if I go to another project in Sweden, for example, I will find in that folder exactly that type of folder. So I don't need to look for it. Everything is there. That means that we can, if there is a need, if someone is all of a sudden sick, the project doesn't stop. I just put someone else in there. Within half a day, he's up to speed because all the documentation, all the information is there. So, and that is what we do. We do that every week. I wouldn't say every week like a religion, but maybe we miss four or five a year, but every week we do that. And then depending, some guys are at home, then they get next week. We always get like a PDF register of what we've done step by step, like a guideline that is also within our own structure, so that people can go back, they can see it, they can recheck and retrain and maintain on top of things. So that's how we approach it. It's something. The reason why I do it, something that I've always missed and that I've always seen, and I still see it today. Someone is an installation technician or installation lead technician. He gets promoted to be a supervisor, right? He gets off to a site. He gets a laptop. He gets some training, and he goes on to site. What does he do? A new manager goes to site, right? You get told, that is your project. That is your project information. You go to the project. You take a cup of coffee, and you take your office, and you put your laptop on. What do you do during the day? Where do you start? If there is a problem, where do you go? How do you register that? How do you handle that? And that is what I train my guys. I train my guys to be, to be objective. Even like at the end of the day, usually we have like an end of the day debriefing meeting where we have the updates and everything. Mm-hmm. If you don't have a structure there, then everyone's just talking whatever they want to talk, objective. And again, as a manager, a new manager that gets into this, or a supervisor that gets into this field, as a supervisor, he sits in that meeting, and then what does he do? What does he say? How does he follow up? And if he doesn't know, and with my managers, if they don't know a certain tool, I have new managers that started last year. They are working good now. But sometimes they say, listen, how do you deal with that? This morning I had one of mine calling me up. He said, I have this issue, and transport is coming, and the crane is here. And blah. I said, okay. And then we just start talking, eliminating all the hazards and the risks, and all of a sudden there was no problem. But that is exactly it. You go and you sit in your office, and what do you do all day? How do you deal with that? And that is what I train my guys. Yeah,
That's excellent. So you really want to empower them so that whatever situation they find themselves, so they know exactly they have a toolbox, toolkit, a method to approach it. Oh,
exactly.
that's fine. So I think I didn't ask that before, Afonso, I think, but it just come up to me. So how big is your team, Afonso, actually?
We are 8 guys. We are eight
Eight
fixed
guys.
guys. Yeah,
Okay. Okay. That's
yeah,
excellent. And I'm sure obviously you guys keeps on it keeps on growing. Eight guy, but I'm sure you can tap into more if the project is it's
yeah.
bigger than what it should
So
be. Yeah.
yeah, so we are 8 guys. I have teams that do other tasks as well. They are
Mhm.
not enrolled in the company. So the way I'm doing it, and one of the future visions that I have also
Mhm.
is I try to have cooperations.
Okay.
So, like last week, we were doing a job in Spain. That's not fixed. That was my job, but that's not fixed. My guys enrolled in with me, in my payroll. That's guys. That's a company that okay. I need to work with that. We work
Yeah.
together. They gain something. I gain
Yeah.
something. We all contribute to grow together. So that's the way I'm approaching HSE. I've got the same. I've got a company that can support us. If there is a need for that, we can support. We give anyone that is working with us gets the same structure, the same guidelines, the same follow up. But to enroll people onto a salary role, that's something that I try to yes, if there is like a pipeline, that's something else. But to maintain people on a short leash just for a job that might come up in 2 months, that's not my type.
Yeah. I
No,
think
I
that.
prefer to work with another company and then we come on with teams, we do the job, walk away. Yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense. It makes sense. So let me take you something. Let's say a little bit more. I would say light. I think when I come across you guys, I think I was intrigued by your logo. I must admit. I could see the phoenix there, and I was like, I was like, it was more like the logo of a rock band, rock and roll band, or something like that. I was like, I couldn't see the connection with wind. So maybe you can explain to us the symbolism so behind the logo and how does it reflect maybe the company core principle and goals. So that would be
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, that's a tricky one, Tony. That's a really tricky one because I need to go into some symbolism now. And I need to go into I need to go into something personal now.
Okay, no problem.
So
Okay,
the
what
logo,
whatever you can share is just like what I don't want
yeah,
to see. I can imagine some of it could be very personal, but whatever you can share because the logo definitely you stand out with
yeah,
that. I could say.
yeah. There will be some people that will definitely understand what I'm saying, what I will say,
Okay.
and some people won't. But so the logo is the phoenixes. The phoenix is as you know, it's the animal that rises from the ashes. It's rebirth, and it's on to a new life, to
Mhm.
rebuilding something, to create something. But the logo, it doesn't have any element of the wind. It doesn't have any element for the wind, but it has all the elements that I just said of my own path, the way that I've created the company, what we stand for. So if you look carefully at the logo, then you see that it has the phoenixes are actually a compass, an open compass,
Mhm.
which the compass and below there is a square,
Mhm.
which are the tools of an architect. An architect uses those tools. The compass is, of course, a tool that symbolizes how wide your angle can be and how
Mhm.
wide you are willing to work and you are willing to design yourself. So you broaden your circle, you make your circle bigger, and you work towards a bigger future. The square symbolizes that we are true, we are square,
Mhm.
we our word and our commitment. If I promise something to someone, that is what I will do. We don't go in, the line doesn't go up and down, it goes straight when we are working. That means that is what we deliver, that is what we stand for, and that is what we do. So within the phoenixes there is the compass and the square in there. And like I said, it's something personal.
Mhm.
Some people will understand it further, will go further into that symbolism, into the compass and the square itself. um, I am open to talk about it if some people want to ask any deeper, but that is what stands behind it. Yes.
Excellent, because like I say, so it's a very it's very unique, yeah. So you almost feel like you're gonna have like a people coming with their bike, with leather jackets. So what is that project? Now, very very interesting. So I think we're almost coming shortly to the end of the conversation. But before we go in further, I'm just gonna say if there's anybody that has any burning questions listening to us. So I should have mentioned at the beginning. So feel free to drop a question or two. We most likely will want to look at that. But Afonso, just wanted to find out. So looking ahead, what would you say are the key goals and priorities of AFF in the next, let's say, 5 years? So how do you see yourself
Yeah,
expanding, and what kind of market would interest you?
yeah. So the key goals and what we have set ourselves to is, of course, with the clients that we have now and with the work that we have now, is to maintain that high satisfaction factor, to maintain that high quality, and to maintain the services that we are supplying. We are also trying to explore more. Not trying, we are exploring more. We are going into more, providing more services within the region that we are working now. But there are a couple of things that we have set ourselves to do over this year and the next couple of years. So one of them is to go into the Southern European market also with O&M, which we are there now. We have that established already, that agreement established already. And then, of course, we want to go into the African market. We want to establish ourselves into the African market. We want to be able to support. Um, I don't see it. Yeah, if people think that, or if anyone thinks that we are going to bring something new, no, the market is there, and the knowledge is there, and the expertise is there. We want to establish ourselves where we can support. We can bring in our expertise as an add-on to aid. So that is the next step. I am also focused, not now, first the African market and then the Asian market, to go into Asia as well. That is a fast-growing market, so there also. The solar market, I will touch on my step. Well, I have like a step by step. Where do I want to go next? Q4, that is when I'm going to go into solar, to approaching a solar market. And the biggest, not the biggest, but one of the things that I have more focus on at the moment, and that I'm developing more, is we are going to develop, or we are developing, a digital tool. So we want to go digital. We want to get into the new era. So we are going to develop a tool that does analysis, that gets input from all the projects, and then it does its analysis, and the way that we give the results, that we show the results, and the day by day uh, follow up of the projects to the clients, to everyone, is going to be digital, with that digital tool, so that we have, it's easier to, it's not easier, it's just a different way to analyze, to process data, to show data, more professional, more future, more for the future. And I'm going to develop also, I am developing a tool. I mean, I have the contract already with the digital company, but we've set ourselves to start working on it in June. So next month is when we start actually to sit together and do the work. And I mean, we've seen already what the tool can do, and we've signed the contracts, but next month is when we start. So what I'm going to do also, and that is one of the things that I want to bring to Africa, is I want to develop a risk analysis tool based on expertise, based on artificial intelligence. But my goal is to have a tool where, if there is a problem, a manager supervisor, they put in that data, and then that software will give them uh, three, maximum three potential outcomes and potential decisions to take. Then there is more parameters needed, of course. He puts in those parameters, he puts in that choice, and then that will give then a different outcome and also a different solution. It's not the solution that you must do that, but it's a guideline. What I want to do with that is exactly what I just meant earlier on, is you're sitting in the office, someone walks in and says, uh, I don't know, a truck filled, or a truck rolled over. What do you do then? You know, what decisions do you take? What impact do you have on the project? Where do you start looking? Do you start looking for a solution straight away, or do you start looking for a solution in a longer way, because it's going to have a bigger impact? So I want to reduce all of that. I want to take all of that away. I want to make it easy, step by step. Something happened, you put it in there, something comes out, you put another data input, and then you have a potential outcome. Based on that, a decision will be taken. Based on that decision, you talk with the client, you talk with the project manager, you say, listen, this happened, this is what we can do, this is what will happen, and this is how we're going to go forward. So that we don't go into 6 months later thinking, oh, I should have done it differently. No, you shouldn't, because when you took that decision, you had all of that data for you, and that is the decision that you take. So that is what I want to do. That is
Excellent.
the most important one, and that one will come. We'll start work this year, still in the summer, Q2, Q3. It will come. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm scared when you say you want to go digital. I was wondering at some point whether I'm talking to the real Afonso. Maybe this is a bot. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, because we never know, right? With the deep fake that we see
You
right
never
now,
know.
right?
You never know. You never know.
Yeah. Oh, I just wanted to say, Afonso, I think it looks like I don't know whether you've been talking to your whole village, but you're having some support here. I'm having Mateus Kotula, who said, Afonso, great manager, well organized and focused on whole team involved to construction site to achieve goal together, always willing to help and discuss. Good luck to growing your company up. So, Mateus, thank you very much for that, for the message of
Thank you.
support here.
Thank you.
So I can promise that I don't personally know him. I didn't ask him to come and support you, maybe, but you certainly know who is. 'Cause most likely, he looks like he knows you. But thank you, Mateo, for that message of support. I did get a couple of questions I want to run through very quickly. Let's be brief on that
Mhm.
before we wrap up. So that's the first question I received, and then I'm just saying. So, what recent technological advancement have had the most significant impact on wind energy according to your experience? So I've received this question, yeah. So the weather
Technological advancements has had the most significant impact in.
on the wind energy, what would you say
I
is?
think, yeah, and I think, but then I'm going into an area that I actually don't, I'm not operative in, and that is the offshore, the floating offshore turbines. That has had the
Okay.
biggest impact into growing the wind into other offshore markets. Onshore is what it is. I
Hmm.
mean, we have new tools. We have new tools to bring, for example, blades. If the blades cannot travel, then we have a tool that grabs the blade and points it up and so on. But
Hmm.
the wind float or the floating platforms, that has been, in my opinion, the biggest development that has made the wind industry grow offshore. And when you look at it globally, it doesn't matter if it's offshore or onshore; it's growing.
Yeah.
That is the important thing, and
Yeah.
and and that is I believe that. But I don't have experience offshore. The only experience that I have offshore was in 2007,
Hmm.
Barrow Furnace in the UK. That was a long time ago. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, who knows? It may be another area that you explore at a later stage.
you never know.
Yeah, let me take you to work. I've received more questions, but what we're gonna do is obviously the comment section in LinkedIn. I'm just gonna pose the
Hmm.
other question that I received, and obviously I know when time is kind, you will respond to that, or maybe somebody from your team. But
Yeah.
talking about the team, this question is saying, so what skill? It looks like somebody want to position himself like to be the the ninth the ninth person of because okay, we're talking about symbolism, right? Number nine, the number is very important. Right? You need a ninth person. So and the question is, what skills and quality do you look for in individual when building your team? So somebody want to be hired?
Someone that is innovative. Someone that is innovative. You need to be able to think outside of the box, and you
Hmm.
need to. It's not about doing that extra mile. And I've said it before in the webinar. It's not about going further than someone else. It's about actually showing up and actually doing the job. And that is what I look for, and that is what I motivate to also. Simply do your job, and your job means that you need to fill in whatever you need to fill in. You need to process it, and you need to analyze it, and you need to look further than simply. Because listen, if we want to be on site, especially as a manager, if we want to be on site, just writing down what is happening, blade was installed at such time, and blah, and there was a delay because this happened. We don't need managers for that. We can have a site admin for that. A manager is someone that looks further and that can analyze further and can look into the the dead time gaps. can look into, okay, where can we improve? Where can we help people also and improve? So that is what I look for. Yeah.
Okay, excellent. So thank you very much. I think we cover extensive area here, I would say. But I usually, whenever I have somebody coming and speaking to me, I always like to give them one last challenge. And I purposely don't tell you that before so that obviously it can be as genuine as possible. So, and the challenge is very simple for me. Let's say, imagine you're talking to your ideal customer, right? So, that this ideal customer, this ideal person you want to talk to is in front of you. What would you say to the person so that it's almost like an elevator pitch, but you only have 1 minute for that? So I'm just gonna go on backstage. I'm gonna give you the whole floor for you to, to talk to that person in 1 minute. Yeah. So are you ready for that? Are you ready for the challenge?
I'm ready for the challenge, I think.
Excellent. So let me just go on the
That's a
backstage.
good one.
Yeah,
That's a
just
good
what
one.
1 minute. What would you say? So why would they be interesting to AFF?
So why AFF and why not someone else? So if we're looking into the project's about to start, are you planning the project? Are you worried? Are you worried that transport is maybe not well planned, or maybe there are some hiccups that are not anticipated yet, or that you are already anticipating, but you just don't find a solution? Are you worried about how the installation in the field is going to go? Are you worried about if everyone is okay, if the HSE, the Health and Safety Department, is following up on things, if planning is correctly, if the companies are following up on what they need to do before the project starts, or even during the project? Are you worried about that? If you contract or if you sign the contract with us, those worries are not your worries anymore. The only thing that you need to worry about, and not really worry, because we 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 step to that, so that is our word, we will commit to that, is that every week, every day, if there is something imminent that shows up, but every week, if you wish, twice a week, you'll have that report, you'll have those solutions, you'll have those problems presented to you with a solution. So that is what we do. We go into the project, we look at all the angles from transport, installation, documentation, follow up. Doesn't mean that we are going to do it. We're going to make sure that the people that need to do it, that they are doing their job. And we're going to also analyze it. You get that product. All you need to worry is look at the plan. Okay, that is ongoing. Things didn't go as planned because of such and such reason, but there was a solution behind it. That is how we approach a project. That is how we deal with the project. So that is what we bring forward.
That was brilliant. I think you hired. No, that was excellent. That was excellent. I can definitely know. I see that you definitely know your job. You're all ready to go. So, Afonso, that was a wonderful conversation. So, thank you very much for the
Thank you
time
very much.
today. And spend. I know you, Finland, you're busy working, but you
Yeah.
dedicated some time for us to have this conversation. And I know people listening to that would find it very inspiring and very obviously refreshing to have somebody who has really a different approach to the sector, who has grown to be a single contractor, put it that way, and now running a team of almost 10 people. And then I'm sure we're going to
Yeah.
hear from you more and more. And like I say, yes, the African market, as I know, will be delighted to have you. So thank you very much. And I'm sure I'll be catching with you later. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Tony. And
Thank you.
thank you, everyone.
Yeah, sorry, you were saying, and thank you. I didn't want to cut you short.
I was going to say thank everyone that is listening in live also.
Okay, thanks for that. Yeah, sorry, I was a bit too quick, but I see you shortly. Yeah, Alfonso. Yeah. So excellent. So we coming to the end of the conversation. There's always an end to everything, right? So although we enjoyed, so again, I want to say thank you, Alfonso, for joining us today, for really sharing some invaluable insight about your journey and also the ethos of AFF Wind. So the story that you share with us of innovation, resilience, commitment, I am certain will not only inspire but also enlighten number of people about the potential that we really have in those wind energy, but not just wind, because you mentioned that yourself, right? Solar as well, because you now tapping into solar, and it will lead us towards a more sustainable future. And for people watching us, especially the one who will listen to us live, so and also will be looking at this video. So somebody looking at the video. So we hope that the conversation spark in you some curiosity and will motivate you to consider how resilience but also continue growth and progress can really drive your success in your own field, wherever it is, right? So, and look forward to seeing more of AFF Win and to continue to transform and lead with purpose the wind energy sector. So, thank you everybody for tuning in. And remember, like the phoenix, as Apostle was saying, we can rise from the challenge, we can rejuvenate and make the difference. So, keep watching, keep learning, keep pushing, and once again, thank you for supporting us. It was a pleasure to have you all. Thank you, guys. Bye bye.